Nobody can hold you back, break you, or stop you. No one controls you. They only distract you. The day you stop seeking validation is the day you become untouchable. Watch till the end. That's where freedom begins. External shadows. We live in a world saturated with external validation, a constant barrage of information telling us what we should be, how we should feel, and what success truly looks like. From the moment we awaken, our senses are assaulted by the opinions of others, by societal expectations, by the loud pronouncements of those who believe they know better. This incessant external noise creates an intricate web of perceived obstacles, shadows that dance on the walls of our perception, convincing us they are solid, insurmountable barriers. We point to a difficult boss, a challenging economic climate, a lack of resources, or the critical words of a loved one as the definitive reasons for our stagnation. They held me back, we say. They broke my spirit, we lament. They stopped my progress, we declare with a heavy heart. But let us pause for a moment and consider the nature of a shadow. A shadow has no substance. It cannot touch you, cannot push you, cannot physically impede your movement. Its power is purely conceptual, derived from the absence of light and the projection of an object. The external forces you perceive as holding you back are often no different. They are shadows cast by the light of your own internal interpretation. The harsh words of another, for instance, are merely vibrations in the air until your mind assigns them meaning, until your ego absorbs them as a personal attack. The challenging economic climate is a reality for everyone, yet some thrive while others falter. The difference lies not in the shadow itself, but in how one chooses to perceive and interact with it. This is the first most crucial step in understanding true liberation, recognizing that the external world, in its raw, unfiltered form, is neutral. It simply exists. Its capacity to hold you back, break you, or stop you is directly proportional to the power you grant it, the meaning you assign to it, and the internal state you allow it to trigger. When you react with fear, with anger, with self-doubt, you are not reacting to the external event itself, but to your internal dialogue about that event. You are reacting to the shadow, not the object casting it. And in that reaction, you give the shadow substance. You allow it to become real within your inner world. And then, and only then, does it gain the power to truly impede you. It is a profound yet often overlooked mechanism of the human experience. Consider a tree standing in a fierce storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes, the ground beneath it trembles. These are immense external forces. Yet the tree does not bend because the wind forces it to bend. It bends because its internal structure, its flexibility, its deep root system allows it to respond to the wind without breaking. If the tree were rigid, unyielding, it would snap. The wind did not break it. Its lack of internal resilience did. Similarly, when you feel broken by an external event, it is rarely the event itself that does the breaking. It is your internal rigidity, your unpreparedness, your unexamined assumptions about yourself and the world that creates the fracture. The storm reveals the weakness. It does not create it. To truly understand that nothing can hold you back, you must first withdraw the power you have unconsciously bestowed upon the external. This requires a profound shift in perspective, a commitment to introspection, and an unwavering dedication to understanding the true source of your internal responses. It means accepting that what happens to you is less significant than what happens within you in response. This is not about victim blaming. It is about self-empowerment. It is about reclaiming your sovereignty from the fleeting, insubstantial shadows of the world and recognizing that your inner fortress, once fortified, can withstand any storm because its walls are built not of brick and mortar, but of consciousness and unwavering intention. The path to freedom begins with this radical reorientation. Inner fortress. The concept of an inner fortress is not merely a metaphor, it is a practical blueprint for building an unshakable self. Most people spend their lives attempting to manipulate the external world to achieve peace or success. They seek to control others, to accumulate more, to avoid discomfort, believing that if their environment is perfectly aligned, then they will be content. But this approach is like trying to change the weather by shouting at the clouds. It is futile, exhausting, and ultimately profoundly disempowering. True power, true resilience, comes from cultivating an internal environment so robust, so well defended, that external conditions lose their capacity to penetrate your core. This fortress is built upon several foundational pillars. The first is self-awareness. You must know your inner terrain intimately. What triggers you? What are your fundamental fears? What are your deepest desires? What stories do you tell yourself about who you are and what you are capable of? Without this deep self-inquiry, you are operating blindly, reacting to unseen internal currents rather than navigating with conscious intent. Imagine a castle with hidden cracks in its foundation. It looks strong from the outside, but one tremor will reveal its vulnerability. Your hidden insecurities, your unexamined emotional patterns are these cracks. Through diligent self-observation, through mindful reflection, you begin to identify and repair them, not by ignoring them, but by bringing them into the light of your awareness. The second pillar is emotional regulation. This is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding their nature and their impermanence. Emotions are like visitors to your fortress. Some are welcome, some are disruptive, but none are permanent residents unless you invite them to stay indefinitely. When fear arises, or anger, or sadness, most people identify with it, allowing it to become who they are in that moment. They say, "I am angry," rather than "I am experiencing anger." This subtle linguistic shift is profound. When you are merely experiencing an emotion, you maintain your distance, your objectivity. You can observe it, understand its message, and then allow it to pass, rather than being swept away by its current. This is the training of the warrior's mind, to feel deeply, yet not to be consumed. Third is the pillar of unwavering presence. The mind, left unchecked, often wanders into the past or projects into the future. It replays old wounds or anticipates future anxieties. Both take you away from the only moment you ever truly have, the present. When your attention is scattered, your energy is fragmented, and your fortress becomes porous. Any external gust of wind can then knock you off balance. By anchoring yourself in the present moment through practices like mindful breathing, through fully engaging with the task at hand, you consolidate your energy, you strengthen your focus. This singular point of focus becomes an impenetrable shield, deflecting the distractions and anxieties that would otherwise erode your inner peace. In the present, the past's regrets hold no sway, and the future's uncertainties lose their grip. To build this inner fortress is a continuous practice, not a destination. It requires the discipline of a craftsman, the patience of a gardener, and the wisdom of a scholar. You are constantly observing, adapting, strengthening. And as your fortress grows in strength, you will notice a profound transformation. The external world, which once seemed so menacing, so capable of holding you back, begins to reveal its true nature. It is not an enemy to be fought, but a landscape to be navigated. And with your inner stronghold secure, you navigate it not with fear, but with wisdom, not with reaction, but with conscious response. This fortress is your ultimate sanctuary, a place where no external shadow can truly touch you, and from which your true, unhindered power can emerge. Disciplined perception. The world is not as it appears, it is as you perceive it. This fundamental truth underpins all mastery and is especially potent in our pursuit of an unshakable spirit. Most people believe their perceptions are objective, that they see reality as it truly is. But perception is a highly subjective process, colored by your past experiences, your beliefs, your emotional state, and your fundamental worldview. Two individuals can witness the exact same event, a setback, a challenge, a critical comment, and walk away with entirely different experiences. One might see an insurmountable obstacle, while the other sees a valuable lesson, a new path forward. The event itself did not change, their perception of it did. This is where the power of disciplined perception comes into play. It is the conscious, intentional practice of choosing how you interpret events, how you frame challenges, and how you internalize external stimuli. It is not about ignoring reality or engaging in naive optimism. It is about understanding that while you cannot always control what happens, you always control how you choose to respond, and that response is entirely predicated on your perception. This control is your ultimate leverage against anything that might attempt to hold you back. If someone speaks ill of you, you can perceive it as a personal attack, allowing it to wound your ego and derail your focus. Or you can perceive it as a reflection of their own internal state, an external noise that has no bearing on your inherent worth. The former breaks you, the latter strengthens you through detachment. Consider the ancient martial arts principle of yielding to overcome. When an opponent pushes, a master does not resist with equal force, for that would lead to a clash where both might break. Instead, they yield, redirecting the energy, absorbing it, and then using it to their advantage. This is a physical manifestation of disciplined perception. When external pressures push against you, do you resist rigidly, allowing yourself to be broken by the force, or do you yield, not out of weakness, but out of strategic intelligence, perceiving the push not as an attack, but as raw energy that can be redirected for your own growth? A harsh critique, rather than being seen as destructive, can be perceived as an opportunity for improvement, a mirror showing you areas to refine. A failure, instead of a definitive end, can be reframed as invaluable data, a necessary step in the learning process. This practice requires constant vigilance. The mind, by default, tends towards negativity, towards self-preservation, towards interpreting uncertainty as threat. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism, but in the modern world, it often works against our flourishing. Disciplined perception is the conscious override of this default setting. It is the daily practice of asking yourself, how else can I see this? What lesson is embedded here? Is this truly an insurmountable barrier, or merely a challenge that requires a different approach? It is about actively seeking the upside, the learning, the opportunity for growth in every situation, no matter how dire it initially appears. By consistently applying disciplined perception, you begin to rewire your brain, changing the automatic neural pathways that once led to reactivity and despair. You train your mind to seek solutions, to find strength, to maintain equanimity, even in the face of adversity. This is not about denying pain or difficulty. It is about refusing to allow pain and difficulty to define you or to stop your momentum. When your perception is disciplined, no external event, no critical voice, no challenging circumstance can truly hold you back, break you, or stop you. They simply become data points, inputs for your growth, fuel for your unyielding spirit. This is the profound freedom that comes from mastering the inner landscape of your mind, from choosing the lens through which you view your reality. Rooted presence. In a world that constantly pulls your attention in 1,000 different directions, the ability to cultivate rooted presence is not just a habit, it is a superpower. We are bombarded by notifications, by news cycles designed to provoke anxiety, by the relentless demands of a hyper-connected society. This constant external pulling fragments our attention, erodes our focus, and leaves us feeling scattered and overwhelmed. When your energy is dispersed, you become highly susceptible to external influences. You are like a boat without an anchor, tossed about by every wave, easily moved by any current. This state of unrootedness is precisely what allows others or circumstances to hold you back. Rooted presence means consciously bringing your attention back to the current moment, grounding yourself in your immediate experience. It means feeling the soles of your feet on the earth, noticing the sensation of your breath, becoming fully engaged with the task at hand, whether it's a conversation, a work project, or simply sipping a cup of tea. It is the deliberate act of withdrawing your energy from the past's regrets and the future's anxieties, and consolidating it into the only place where you truly have agency, the now. When you are rooted in the present, your energy is coherent, your mind is clear, and your inner strength is readily accessible. This practice draws deeply from ancient traditions, particularly Zen and martial arts, where absolute presence is not just a philosophical concept, but a practical necessity for performance and survival. A warrior whose mind is wandering to yesterday's defeat or tomorrow's battle is vulnerable in the present moment. Their movements become hesitant, their reactions sluggish. Similarly, in daily life, when your mind is elsewhere, you are less effective, less creative, and more prone to external distractions and internal self-doubt. The critical words of an external voice hit harder when your internal energy is already fragmented. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate rooted presence is through the conscious practice of mindful breathing. Your breath is always in the present moment. It is the anchor that can always pull you back from the labyrinth of your thoughts. Even just a few deep intentional breaths, focusing entirely on the sensation of air entering and leaving your body, can dramatically shift your state. It calms the nervous system, quietens the incessant chatter of the mind, and brings your awareness back to the only reality that matters, this very instant. This is not about complex meditation. It is about accessible, repeatable micro moments of grounding throughout your day. Another facet of rooted presence is focused immersion. When you are fully absorbed in a task to the exclusion of all else, you enter a state of flow. In this state, time seems to disappear, self-consciousness fades, and you become one with the activity. This is where true mastery emerges, where problems are solved with elegance, and where creativity flourishes. When you are in flow, you are unholdbackable. External distractions cease to exist. The opinions of others become irrelevant. Your internal critic is silenced. You are simply doing, simply being, powerfully present. Consciously seeking out these moments of focused immersion and creating the conditions for them builds your capacity for unshakable inner calm. By consistently practicing rooted presence, you become less reactive to the external world and more responsive from a place of inner calm and clarity. You build an internal reservoir of stillness that no amount of external chaos can deplete. When you are rooted, firmly planted in the present moment, no one can truly break your spirit, for your spirit is not dependent on fleeting external conditions. It is grounded in the eternal now, an unmoving core from which you can observe, adapt, and move forward with unwavering purpose. This grounding is the secret to enduring any storm, remaining unbent, and continually advancing on your chosen path. BAM's unwavering purpose. Without a clear and unwavering purpose, you become a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly, susceptible to every passing current and every external influence. When you lack a strong inner compass, anything and anyone can redirect you, hold you back, or even stop you entirely. Your energy becomes diffuse, your focus fragmented, and your motivation ephemeral. The world is full of opportunities to be distracted, to be pulled into dramas that are not your own, to pursue goals that are not truly aligned with your deepest self. This is where the profound power of an unwavering purpose enters the equation. Purpose is not merely a goal, it is a deep, internal calling that aligns with your core values and your unique contribution to the world. It is the why that fuels your what. When your purpose is clear, it acts as an internal GPS, constantly recalibrating your direction, even when faced with significant headwinds or tempting detours. It provides the internal resistance against external pressures, the unshakable foundation that prevents you from being swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. If someone tells you your path is impossible or that you are not good enough, their words become mere noise against the resonant clarity of your purpose. Most people pursue external goals without first establishing this internal purpose. They chase success as defined by society, more money, more status, more possessions, only to find themselves feeling empty even after achieving these things. This is because external achievements, without an internal anchor of purpose, are fleeting satisfactions that do not feed the soul. They can easily be taken away, leaving you feeling broken. But when your actions are driven by a deep sense of purpose, the external outcomes become secondary. The joy is in the journey, in the alignment, in the expression of your authentic self. Cultivating unwavering purpose requires deep introspection. It is not something you discover overnight. It is something you uncover through continuous self-inquiry and honest reflection. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What problem do I feel compelled to solve? What contribution do I want to make? What legacy do I wish to leave? These questions, when genuinely engaged with, begin to reveal the contours of your true purpose. It often lies at the intersection of your talents, your passions, and the needs of the world. Once identified, your purpose becomes your internal North Star, guiding every decision, every action, every allocation of your precious energy. When your purpose is unwavering, external setbacks transform from insurmountable obstacles into challenging puzzles to be solved. A no from an investor is not a reflection of your worth, but a signal to refine your pitch or seek a different partner. A critical voice is not a sign to give up, but an opportunity to examine your conviction. The very act of pursuing your purpose, even in the face of adversity, becomes a source of profound strength. You are not defined by what happens to you, but by your steadfast commitment to your deeper calling. This commitment creates an internal firewall against external negativity. This is not a passive waiting for purpose to appear. It is an active cultivation, a daily reaffirmation. It means aligning your daily actions with your overarching why. Every small decision, every choice of how you spend your time and energy either moves you closer to your purpose or pulls you away from it. When you make these choices consciously, guided by your unwavering purpose, you become incredibly powerful. No person, no event, no challenge can genuinely stop a person driven by an unshakable purpose. They may temporarily slow you down, they may force you to adapt, but they cannot break your spirit or derail your ultimate trajectory, because your direction is determined not by external winds, but by the powerful internal current of your own truth. This is the ultimate shield against all that seeks to diminish you. Hier spoke mindful discipline. The concept of discipline often carries a harsh, rigid connotation, evoking images of strict rules and self-deprivation. However, mindful discipline is a completely different paradigm. It is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It is about cultivating consistent, intentional actions that align with your highest self and deepest purpose, driven by awareness and self-compassion. This distinction is critical because it transforms discipline from a burden into a powerful tool for liberation. Without mindful discipline, your aspirations remain fleeting wishes, easily derailed by external distractions or internal resistance. This is where 99% of people falter, confusing desire with commitment. Mindful discipline recognizes that your mind and body are intricately connected and that consistent, small actions compound over time to create profound transformation. It's not about grand, heroic gestures, but about the quiet, persistent effort applied day after day. Think of a river carving a canyon. It does not do so with a single violent surge, but through the continuous, gentle flow of water over millennia. This relentless consistency, this mindful application of energy, is what allows you to overcome inertia, to build new habits, and to transcend perceived limitations. When external pressures mount, it is your ingrained discipline, your automated positive behaviors that act as an invisible scaffolding, preventing you from collapsing. The essence of mindful discipline lies in integrating small, deliberate practices into your daily routine. This could be as simple as beginning your day with 5 minutes of intentional breathing, dedicating a specific block of time to your most important work, or ending your day with a period of reflection. The mindful aspect comes from approaching these practices with full awareness, without judgment, and with an understanding of their deeper purpose. You are not just going through the motions, you are actively strengthening your internal resolve, training your attention, and reinforcing your commitment to yourself. This awareness transforms mundane tasks into acts of self-mastery. One key protocol of mindful discipline is the micro-commitment. Instead of overwhelming yourself with monumental goals, break them down into the smallest possible actionable steps. Want to write a book? Commit to writing just 1 sentence a day. Want to get in shape? Commit to 1 minute of movement. The goal here is not the immediate outcome, but the consistent engagement with the process. By making these micro-commitments, you bypass your mind's natural resistance to large tasks and build momentum effortlessly, each completed. Micro-commitment reinforces your belief in your own capacity, slowly chipping away at the internal barriers that tell you you can't. Another crucial aspect is the practice of intentional pauses. In our non-stop world, we rarely create space for reflection. Mindful discipline encourages regular, brief pauses throughout the day, perhaps between meetings, before starting a new task, or after a challenging conversation. During these pauses, you check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What is my intention for the next hour? Am I aligning with my purpose? These moments of self-assessment allow you to course correct, to recenter, and to prevent external events from pulling you off course. They are like quick recalibrations for your inner compass, ensuring you remain aligned with your true north. The synergy of these practices is profound. When you consistently apply mindful discipline, you cultivate an inner resilience that is impervious to external critiques or setbacks. The discipline itself becomes a source of strength. When someone attempts to hold you back, your ingrained habits, your focused energy, and your clear purpose act as an impenetrable shield. Your internal operating system is so finely tuned that external interference becomes a minor disturbance, easily processed and overcome. This form of discipline is not about restriction, it is about expansion, about unlocking your full potential by consistently and mindfully tending to your inner garden. It is the ultimate antidote to external limitation, ensuring that nothing can truly stop your progress, because your progress is sustained by an internal, self-generating momentum. I butcher ego's whisper. Among the most subtle and insidious forces that can hold you back, break you, or stop you is the insidious whisper of your own ego. This is not the healthy self-esteem that fuels ambition, but the fragile, insecure aspect of the self that seeks constant validation, fears rejection, and clings desperately to its established identity. Even if that identity is limiting, the ego's whisper tells you stories. You're not good enough. Who are you to attempt that? What will others think? You'll fail, just like before. These are not external voices, but internal saboteurs, often more powerful because they arise from within, masquerading as protective wisdom. The ego's primary function is self-preservation, but it often interprets preservation as staying within the familiar, avoiding risk, and maintaining the status quo, even if that status quo is deeply unsatisfying. When you feel held back, it is often not a physical barrier, but the ego's fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown that creates an invisible wall. It weaponizes past experiences against future possibilities, replaying old wounds to justify inaction. Remember when you tried that and it didn't work, it murmurs. Best to stay safe. This whisper, if left unexamined, becomes a deafening roar, paralyzing your potential and convincing you that limitations are real. Recognizing the ego's whisper is the first step toward disarming it. This requires a level of self-awareness that most people never cultivate. It means being able to observe your thoughts and feelings without immediately identifying with them. When a thought of self-doubt arises, instead of accepting it as truth, I am not capable, you learn to observe it as a thought. A thought is arising that says I am not capable. This distinction creates a crucial space between you and your ego. In that space, you reclaim your power to choose whether to believe the whisper or to dismiss it. The ego thrives on external validation. It feeds on praise and shrivels under criticism. This makes you vulnerable to manipulation and dependent on others' opinions. If your sense of worth is derived from external sources, your job title, your possessions, others' approval, then anyone or anything that threatens those external markers has the power to break you. Your ego, in its desperate need for validation, can hold you captive, forcing you to conform, to avoid controversy, to play small, just to maintain a fragile sense of acceptance. This is not freedom, it is a gilded cage.